Hello and welcome to Lazy Uploads. I think I'm going to call this Lazy Uploads. I quite like it because it's true. It's completely honest and open. I want to put more content on the channel, but there's only so many hours in the day, so I just thought I'd give this a try, which is essentially just me with no script, no nothing, just laying back and talking about things. Not just random things, not just like how my day was. I'm not going to become a vlogger because my life is really dull. But TV, movie-related things. I'm thinking more TV for this, because it's the TV content that I'm struggling to get out the most. I'm not talking about it anywhere near as much as I want to. I love TV. But if I do this, if I do the lazy uploads about TV shows, it's a lot easier. It's much easier. Think of it as like a mini podcast, maybe, with just me. A solo, lonely podcast. But yeah, lazy uploads, that's what this is. People might hate it. If you hate it, yeah, fine, tell me. If you like it, let me know as well. Give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all of that. And then I'll know to keep doing them. And if not, I won't bother again. I'll start doing actual things. But sometimes it's nice to be lazy. I'm at my most relaxed when I'm lazy. But yeah, this one's on Fear the Walking Dead, because I have some things to say.
Put the button back in the box.
So this is a video that I've avoided making for quite a while, because I've been so enjoying The Walking Dead again that I didn't want to focus on the negatives of the franchise, so I just kind of tried to pretend they weren't there. And also, because Fear the Walking Dead has kind of made me look like a bit of an idiot. The last video I did on it wasn't exactly complimentary. It was just, and spoilers, by the way, for all of Fear the Walking Dead up to the last episode that's aired. But when I made that video, I was angry at the show for what they did to Madison, and I stand by that. I'm still angry, but there was a lot of people saying how it was becoming the Morgan show. And I disagreed with that. I had more faith in the show. I believed that it would still be an ensemble piece. I don't know why I believed it, to be honest. Everybody was right. It became the Morgan show very, very quickly. And essentially these new showrunners came in to Fear the Walking Dead and butchered it. They stripped everything out that people loved about it and made it into something completely different. And as a fan of Fear the Walking Dead, man, it pissed me off. I think it's fine to have a pop at showrunners from sometimes. There's a lot of people who say you shouldn't have a go at the people who are running the show because it's their show. And it's true. That is true. This is, whoever's running it, it is their show. We're just along for the ride. We're not participants in the show. We watch it. We absorb what other people give us. So we can't really have a go at them for doing something we don't agree with because it's not ours. We don't own it. But in the case of Fear the Walking Dead, I think an exception can be made. But before we get into Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 and the absolute abomination of what that show was in that year, I kind of want to look back at Fear the Walking Dead from the beginning, way back from the start of the show, because it's been a show for me that's had so many ups and downs over the years. We'll go back to Season 1, because I remember when Season 1 started, and I was so excited for this show, so excited, because I wanted to see the fall of humanity. I wanted to see civilization crumble. It's what Walking Dead is all about, so I wanted to see more of the beginning of what it was like when this all first started happening. And from the first episode, it seemed like we were going to get that with Fear. It was quite slow, but then the Walking Dead franchise as a whole isn't exactly fast-paced all of the time. It's quite a slow show in general, really. But Fear the Walking Dead was very slow in those opening 3 episodes, but I still liked it. I liked where it was going. I was just fascinated by watching LA deteriorate in the way that it was. It was fun, it was exciting, it was tense, and it was just another way to look at the Walking Dead world that by that point we'd become so familiar with. It's nice to see different aspects of it. And then, 3 episodes into that season, they did a time jump and skipped it. Which, I mean, why did they do that? The premise of the show was to watch the apocalypse from the beginning. But instead of that, they skipped ahead. And it was the most annoying decision they made. Why give up all of that dramatic potential that you could have had to just skip ahead and make this another version of The Walking Dead, which is what they did. It was still earlier than The Walking Dead, so it was still nice to see it in a different sort of way. But we skipped so much of humanity's demise that there didn't even seem much point in going to explore it in the first place. Season 2, for me, was a bit better than Season 1. I mean, the boat stuff for the early part of the season, I think, was the best the season had. and it wasn't particularly that strong, but it was showing signs of improvements. I started to like the characters a lot more. I started to find myself rooting for Madison and for Nick, Alicia. That these characters who in the first season I didn't really care too much about one way or another, they started to grow on me a little bit. Travis did as well. In fact, all of them really did. Chris, not so much. But then he was gone by the end of the season anyway. So yeah, it was a step in the right direction, but it was season 3, I think, that Fear the Walking Dead really found its own feet. And it's funny because it always seems like The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead can't both be good at the same time. They just can't. Fear the Walking Dead started pretty poorly, whereas The Walking Dead was still really, really good. The Fear the Walking Dead got better, The Walking Dead was still great, but then as The Walking Dead started to get worse, Fear started to get better. And then we had seasons 7 or 8 of The Walking Dead, which was terrible, alongside Fear the Walking Dead season 3 that was brilliant. So by the time season 3 came to a close, I'd lost all interest in the main show of The Walking Dead. But Fear I was excited for, because 3 was... It did everything, well, not everything right. It still had problems, it still had issues with it, but it was so much better than anything Fear had done before, and better than anything we'd been seeing on The Walking Dead to that point. The ranch setting was great. There was a lot of new characters introduced that were compelling and interesting and intriguing. Like, you never knew where these characters' loyalties lied. There were wild cards thrown into the mix. They did some brave things, killing off Travis. Didn't agree with it at the time because I liked Travis, but I think it was a good thing because it really reinforced the core relationship for me, which in my mind was Madison, Alicia, and Nick. It was those 3 characters. They were the 3 that were the leads for this show. And when season 3 ended and the dam exploded, I was just on the edge of my seat for that. I couldn't wait to see what happened next. It was just a great finale. Everything with Daniel was really good in that. Where the fucking hell is he gone? But there was just so much that worked, and I was telling everybody to watch Fear. I was telling everybody that Fear the Walking Dead is the show now over The Walking Dead. It's the one to watch. And then season 4 started, and yeah. The problem for me with... There's lots of problems with season 4, but the main problem with season 4 for me, and stripped it of everything, really. They made a new show under our noses and didn't tell us that we were losing the one that we were tuning in for. And I can fully understand why people are angry and furious about that, because to be honest, so am I. These new showrunners, Andrew Chambliss and Ian B. Goldberg, I don't know whether it was their fault as such, but they're the showrunners, so they're where the blame's going to lie. But there's just as much of a possibility that this was Scott and Gimple and his ways. Just when we've ditched him off The Walking Dead, which it's no coincidence that as soon as he left The Walking Dead, that show got infinitely better. But he now has more of a hand in Fear as well, and it's right around that time that Fear just plummeted. I'll honestly say, as much as I hated The Walking Dead Season 8, as much as I disliked Season 7 of it, Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 is the worst season for either of these shows. It's the worst season out of the lot of them, and there's so many reasons for that, but the main one is that this isn't Fear the Walking Dead anymore. This is some new show that's just stolen its name. This season existed to destroy what came before it and start something new. And we weren't told about that. We were misled quite severely. I mean, Morgan. So Morgan comes into the show, and I was excited for that. I wanted to see Morgan in here. I was looking forward to seeing his reaction, his relationships with all these characters and the kind of relationships that he could build with them. Because Morgan's a good character that was just unfortunately a bit wasted in his last couple of years on The Walking Dead. He didn't come to life as much as I wanted him to. So I was looking forward to seeing him in a new role, in a new environment. I thought it could be really good for the character. And the actor is great as well, so I was really happy to keep him around. But now, honestly, I wish he just died at the end of Season 8. Because this is The Morgan Show. And people were saying it was The Morgan Show, and I didn't believe them. Up to the first half of the season, I was just like, well, there's a little bit of Morgan, but, you know, we've still got the other characters here. It's just because he's new. It's not going to become his show, but that's exactly what it was. As soon as Madison died, it was clear. As soon as this show came back, Morgan is the leader of this group. He's the main character now, and people like Alicia and Strand, like the only 2 characters left from the previous series. Oh, wait, there's another one, isn't there? I've already forgotten her name. Luciana, she's still there as well. So there's these 3 characters who are basically bit players now. They're side players as part of a larger ensemble, and this show has just turned into another version of The Walking Dead, when before it was more than that. It was about this core family of the Clarks, who don't really exist anymore. There's one of them. There's Alicia. That's it. By episode 3, Nick's dead. By episode 8, we realise that Madison's dead. And people were furious. People were angry, and fair play to them because they had every single right to be. And the fact is as well that season 4 was just aimless. There were a couple of things that it did right, I think. Like, Garrett Dillahunt is so good in this show. I love John Dory, but I don't love him enough to look past how crap everything else is. One good character does not make a good season. But he is very, very good. And if he'd have popped up in season 3, I could only imagine how great that could have been. But he didn't. He showed up on this shithole of a season. I mean, honestly, look at this back half of the season. What happened, really? They all got split up and just conveniently found each other again. There was some crazy woman who just... people didn't help her when her husband was dying, so now she just kills people, and she gets a weird obsession with Morgan. And then she poisons everyone with antifreeze, and Morgan's able to save the day by extracting stuff out of beer. Like, what show is this? This isn't The Walking Dead. This isn't Fear the Walking Dead. This is amateur. There was no structure to this season. There was nothing engaging about this season. There was no through line to it. There was nothing cohesive at all. It was just a messy, bland mess. And speaking of bland, the colour scheme. The colour scheme. The washed out, drainy colours that we have throughout all of this season. I thought for the first half it made sense, because the stuff in the past was all brightly coloured, and now in the present time it's all sort of blanked out and grey because it's a lot more miserable. I get it. But when we got to the second half of the season and we kept that dreadful colour scheme, I just got bored looking at the fucking thing. Like, Fear the Walking Dead was such a brightly colourful show. All the stuff in Mexico, all the problems the show had, like the way it looked wasn't one of them, because it looked gorgeous. And then they moved to Texas. I've never been to Texas, but I know that it's a beautiful looking place. And instead of tapping into the great colours and everything that you could get from somewhere like that, they just strip it all away and make it close to black and white. I got Fear the Walking Dead on Blu-ray, Season 4, recently, and just because I'm a completionist and it's one of my curses, and I put it in just hoping that somehow it would look better in a Blu-ray disc, and it doesn't. It's an ugly, ugly show now, and that's such a shame. And it just makes it difficult to watch. I don't like looking at the thing anymore. It just looks hideous to stare at. I don't like the drained out colours. I don't like how washed out it looks. I just don't like how bland it looks. As I say, horrible. And it's not helped that the stories aren't that interesting. The characters aren't being given a chance to get that interesting. We're having new characters thrown at us all the time on this one, just further emphasising how much this show doesn't give a crap about the characters that were on it before. I don't know why they didn't just cancel Fear the Walking Dead, give us a wrap-up movie for it, and then start a brand new show called Fear the Walking Morgan. They may as well have done. It's just a season that wasted every opportunity. The hurricane that came in, you remember that great hurricane where the trees didn't move? That got me excited a little bit. I was looking forward to seeing them fighting against walkers and bad weather, but they barely even tapped into it. The storm was just sort of there. It was kind of a factor in things, but it didn't play into things as much as it could have done, and that sums up the season. It's a season that had some good ideas, but just didn't have any kind of talent behind the scenes involved to make it work. But is there hope for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, and will I watch it? I'll probably check it out, I think, at some point. Here's the thing for me with Fear the Walking Dead. If Season 5 starts up and it looks like it did in Season 4, if they've kept that colour choice, then bollocks to it. I don't want to look at an ugly show. I don't. If it looks nice again, I'll at least give it a chance. I'll at least give it a try and see if there's any way they can redeem it. But I don't see how they can. It's been run into the ground now, and it's almost embarrassing in places. There was a shot in the final episode of this one where they set out their plan to go and travel around the country helping people. It's going to be fun, isn't it? But they did that scene, and they all just stood in the right position, as if they were posing for a photo, and it looked so false and so fake. And something that I thought this show was above, just the cheesiest looking image. I'll try and put it on the screen at the same time as I'm talking about it, but just the cheesiest, most awkward looking image in the world. And that shot just really defined the season for me. Just messy, amateur, ugly looking, poorly written, poorly directed. And it hurts to say things like this, because one season before I was singing this show's praises, but this isn't this show anymore. That show that I was loving, Fear the Walking Dead, doesn't exist. Instead, we have this. We have what is essentially a brand new show. We just weren't given the heads up that it was changing. And that is the thing that for me is hard to get past. It shows just a disregard to the fans and a disregard to its characters. Madison deserved better than that. Kim Dickens deserved better than what she got. With Nick, it's unavoidable. He was leaving anyway. Like, he wanted to go. It makes sense that he dies. But surely that would be even more reason to keep hold of Madison, you would think. Apparently not. The only thing I think that could really get my interest back in this show is bringing Madison back. Because whether it was intentional or not, there is still the slightest, the smallest little bit of wiggle room that Madison could have survived. It's very unlikely. It would require a leap of faith. But at this point, I'll take a leap of faith. I couldn't care if we saw her face chewed off and then she comes back absolutely fine. Because the show needs her. It needs to get back to what it was before. And if it's not going to do that, carrying on the way it has been is not going to cut it. The Walking Dead is so good again at the moment. I have loved Season 9. And after hating 7 and 8, I didn't see that coming. I've loved it and I want to love Fear the Walking Dead too. But I can't in its current form. I don't even know if I can bring myself to watch it in its current form. And as I say, it's not nice to go after showrunners because they're just doing their job. But just in this case, there's so much ineptitude that it seems like they're giving off that people should be speaking up and letting them know how they think about it. And I haven't checked what the viewership was like for Season 4. I'd be surprised if it didn't drop. And it deserved to. Something needs to be done with Fear the Walking Dead now, while there's still even the slightest of chances left. But what are your thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead Season 4? And the show as a whole, actually. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Do hit like and subscribe if you enjoy this video and you want to see more. This was a video I wasn't actually planning on making. I just kind of wanted to rant a little bit about Fear. I think it's because I've just rewatched a lot of Walking Dead with Mel, and I was loving it again, and then I saw the Fear the Walking Dead box and got all angry. So here I am talking about it. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are too. Look out for more reviews coming soon. Alita Battle Angel and Lego Movie 2 reviews both coming within the next few days. I'm excited for them. I've just uploaded the How to Train Your Dragon 3 review as well, so do check that out if you're at all interested. You can follow me on Twitter at JoeJulians. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.